course, we're all trying to just adapt to this kind of crazy world that's going on here, Leonard. And I guess the big question is, we're looking forward. And I mean, football is such a part of our lives. It was such a huge part of your life. Can we even imagine a season where there's no football, where football's not played?
Well, I tell you, it's going to be crazy because I just was watching First Take earlier with Stephen A. and my boy Louis Riddick on it, and they were talking about the Eagles and the fact that the Eagles are not going to have one fan in the stadium watching their game. And I'm trying to figure how in the hell is that going to happen? How is that going to play? Not one fan in the stadium watching the game. Maybe they're going to try it in preseason and see how it works out preseason. And if it works in preseason, do the same thing in the regular season. I technically I can't see it. I really can't see how you can play a contact sport with this virus going on, period. Whether you're playing baseball, football, basketball, or any team sport right now, during this epidemic, how you're really going to be able to be successful performing in this epidemic, subconsciously performing in this epidemic. I mean, you're going to be worrying about, do I touch a guy? Do I tackle a guy? What if I engage with a guy and his sweat hits me in the mouth and the face and the eye, my hands, I'm a lineman. Lineman in the NFL, your technique, you're taught to press guys off of you and extend your arms and your hands. And, by extending your arms and your hands, you're able to make plays and do things and make tackles and, rush the quarterback and all those other things that are associated with being a lineman, defensive lineman in the game and offensive lineman in the game. So it's going to be extremely tough for these guys to do this and really perform at an optimal level.
Absolutely. And Leonard, you played 1 year for the Washington team, we'll go ahead and say, because they're changing the name. You played for them in 1994. What do you think about the name change? Do you have any idea what it should be? I know there's Warriors, Red Wolves out there, Generals. What do you think about this whole Washington name change?
Well, I like the whole idea of the name change. I think in the climate that we're operating in right now, you guys know just as well as I that it's extremely intimidating for the most part when someone tells you to do something that you don't want to do, you traditionally don't think you should do, but yet you ethically feel and morally feel that it's the right thing to do. In this climate that we're in, and and all the various movements and moving parts going on, with our country right now. Kudos to Dan Snyder for stepping up and being a real leader and not being influenced by garbage and being influenced by his conscience and letting his conscience be his guide and making a decision. Now, whether his conscience is driven by money or not, it has to be reckoned with. But, if I own the football team and FedEx and the likes of people like FedEx told me they weren't going to support me and my team and the growth and development of my business, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to side with FedEx and all those that are saying, hey, look, we need to change this. We need to be politically correct on this. We need to get this right. And we need to knock it out the park. So I like the Red Tails name. I think it's very salutatory in this climate that we're in. And I think that, the city of D.C. will embrace it. We're talking about a city that's 80 to 85% African-American to begin with. And for the most part, if I'm involved with the team or whatever, I think I'd want to see something like that happen for that organization.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We'll probably be hearing about that here as the days and weeks progress here. But Leonard, I'll tell you what, we gotta take this back to the beginning with you because you've had such a prodigious career, both in college and in the NFL. I want to take it back to the beginning because you're a Franklin, Louisiana native. You go to LSU and play football there. When we talk to a lot of people that played in the SEC, especially down there at LSU, there just seems to be a bond with that state and that school. Was it as simple as, you grew up in Franklin, LSU's the state school, as to why you attended LSU? Kind of take us back to that process and what it was like for you as you were going into college there, why you chose LSU inevitably.
Well, that's great you bring that up because, as a high school kid, in rural Louisiana, 785 people strong. Uh, my dream and goal was to try to use athletics and academia to get the hell out of Franklin, and to go on and try to see who I could become in my journey. So I didn't care where I went to school, more or less, as long as I went to a decent school. I got a chance to play on TV, so my parents could watch me do that, and I got a quality education in the process. Whether I was able to achieve my dream and goal, which is to play in the National Football League, which was my thing since I was 9 years old. That was extremely questionable. I mean, you're only one football player away from an injury that could be career ending to begin with. So being recruited in high school and heavily recruited, the likes of Alabama, the likes of Texas A&M, University of Oklahoma, University of Southern California, and Tulane University, and places like that were all offered to me. However, that guy with that toothpick in his mouth and that hat cocked to the side, Charlie McClendon, won my parents over and said, why let this kid go out of the state of Louisiana and take his talent somewhere else? When in fact, we want players like Leonard Marshall to attend our university. We want to help him graduate from school and represent our state. So, being that we were one of the last 2 to 3 teams in the SEC to don a black football player in the early 1970s, that kind of bothered me a little bit. However, I didn't let it overcome my decision, which was to stay in Louisiana, have a chance and a shot at pro football. If it didn't work out for me, be able to get a great job, work in the hotel, hospitality management services industry, which New Orleans is all about, and build a career there, and hopefully have a family. So, I think I made the right decision at the end of the day. It would have been nice to play at Grambling. It would have been nice to play at Southern, 2 historical black colleges with strong leadership and great football coaches during that era. But I really wanted to play on TV, and LSU offered me that, and afforded me the luxury of my parents being able to come and watch me play on Saturday night. So it was great.
Well, it did work out for you, Leonard. During your senior year, you were named defensive MVP. You were a big key factor in a victory over Alabama, prompting Coach Bear Bryant to state his regret after the game for not being able to successfully recruit you. So talk about that big win against Alabama and then the quote from Bear Bryant.
Well, I think the real big thing with that football game against the University of Alabama, we were a team to be reckoned with that football season. We were number 1 ranked defense in the country for 8 to 9 weeks in the country. And we beat 2 of the top 5 teams in the country that year, until we had a little bit of a fumble and tied a football game against Reggie White and Willie Galt and the Tennessee Volunteers, which kind of set us back as a football team, but yet we rebounded. We came back, we beat Ole Miss. We turned around and, we crap in our hand and lose to Mississippi State and then lose to Tulane at the end of the year. So we really wanted to end the season with a bang and getting a chance to play Florida State and going on and playing in the Orange Bowl and playing Nebraska and playing them tough and playing them close. I really thought we should have beat that football team. But I was real proud of our guys. I was real proud of Coach Stovall and his staff because, he let the players be the players, and we let him coach the football game the way he wanted to coach it. We trusted him. We believed in him. He was a great leader. Today, we have a much better relationship than we had back in college, when I didn't really fully understand what he wanted and what he was trying to get to. But yet I embraced it and I loved it. And I was part of the system and made the system work for me and work for my teammates. And I think it's that leadership that helped our team be strong in 1982. And one of the things that when you look for an MVP of a team, you look for a most valuable player, but you're looking for a most valuable person and a guy who provides such leadership in your locker room that is never questioned. Players are never in doubt, and it will go to war with you no matter how big or how deep the foxhole is.
We'll talk about just kind of what LSU, what the school means to you now, because Noah and I have done this SEC documentary. We've been to every single place in the SEC, all 14 stadiums. There was something about Tiger Stadium, Baton Rouge on a Saturday night that is overwhelming. It's deafening. It's magical. It's special. Talk about just kind of what the school, what LSU kind of means to you. And now that you're, can step back from it, how crazy it is there, the environment and what it's like there during a game on a Saturday night.
Oh, I tell you, it's so beautiful. The thing that really hooked me when I went to LSU, I never got a chance to go to a live football game in Alabama or Oklahoma because I was really in school, a 17-year-old kid in high school just trying to make it through and do all the right things. So, but I got a chance to do LSU, and I got a chance to really see them in action against University of Colorado my senior year in high school. And then I got a chance to walk out on the field, as a freshman and playing a game against the University of Southern Cal in 1979. And that's when the magic began, man. That's when I said, I got to have this. I got to have this, and I got to have this week in and week out. And whatever I got to do to make sure I'm one of the guys that gets a chance to feel this on a Saturday night, I got to have it. And I fought my ass off to make sure from the time I got there to the time I left that I was one of the guys that, I memorialized the position that I played at LSU. I played for an outstanding defensive line coach in Pete Jenkins. I played for one hell of a staff with Bobby Morrison and Greg Williams and Bishop Harris and the likes of Pete Jenkins and some of the other guys who actually pulled us along. And the beauty of it, my teammates were core and key to all of that. Albert Richardson, Ramsey Darter, Billy Elko, Tim Joyner, a kid from Baton Rouge who came there as a skinny kid and left as a buffed outside linebacker. We had a crazy kid in our locker room by the name of Mark Motorcut, who I'm still friends with today, that came in our locker room from Robert E. Lee High School. We just had some great kids, man, at a great time. And it's a time and moment in my life I'll never forget. Right now I serve on the diversity board at the university. I work with Dr. Derek Rivaris and 24 other members as diversity members and trying to do diversity and inclusion work to recruit the minority student and the minority student athletes. So it's a beautiful thing what we're doing. It's a beautiful thing that LSU has become. Kudos to F. King Alexander and his staff who created such a culture at that place, and the people that now lead it on. From the football coaches to the baseball coaches to the basketball coaches to everyone in athletics and academia at LSU. It's kudos to those people for doing what they do and keeping the kids alert and active and informed of what's available, what's offered, and the opportunities that exist outside of Louisiana State University.
We'll talk about outside of Louisiana State University, whether it was the sights, the sounds, the total atmosphere. What were some of your favorite road environments that you experienced in the SEC?
Oh, I love playing in Mississippi State. Don't ask me why, but I loved it. I the cowbell shit. I mean that. I can't wait to silence these people. And it just was a bunch of fun. Playing Auburn, playing the University of Auburn, and playing them as tough as we did during that time was a lot of fun. Whether we played them at Auburn or played them at home was fun. Playing the University of Florida in Florida, I'll never forget my senior year. We played Florida in Florida, and this was Pete Jenkins' first year going back to Florida, and because he coached a lot of guys at Florida before he came to LSU. And I'll never forget it. There were 4 kids sitting behind the bench, and they were smoking a bunch of pot, man. I mean, they must have had a pound of the stuff because they just kept lighting up and lighting up and lighting up. And by halftime, halftime, I run off the field, and I'm going over to see Coach Jenkins. And Coach Jenkins is stoned out of his mind. And his eyes are all glossy. And I'm saying, Coach, you all right? He goes, I don't know what they're doing behind me, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm kind of gassed from this stuff. He was completely smashed from all the marijuana that was being smoked right behind the bench. All the guys just went to the locker room laughing. It was the most fun, man, I've ever experienced at a place to play.
Well, the SEC slogan, Leonard, is it just means more. There wasn't a lot of pro sports in the South, back in the day, and back in, especially obviously in states like Mississippi and Alabama, where there were no pro football. I mean, just talk about what football kind of means to the South and why there's this special bond kind of with football in that area of the country.
Well, it's a struggle. Football is the most identifiable game, I think, to the struggle that most Louisianians, Mississippians, Alabamans, Georgians, Floridians, Texans, people in the South. It's probably the most idealized, identified sport that's all about the struggle for land and opportunity. And it's one guy pushing, another guy pulling, one guy pushing, another guy pulling. And it's for 60 minutes, and it's grown men, and it's, and there's a ball involved, and it's about competition, and, who can stick their chest out the longest, the hardest, and continue to pound and pound and pound. So, it was a different era of life growing up in the South versus in the Northeast or in the Northwest or even in the central part of the country. I think the only other place that sort of reminds you of Southern football is probably the Midwest and the league called the Big Eight, which is played between Oklahoma, Nebraska, SMU, Texas, and schools like that. I tell you, the competition was stiff. You knew that, each team had a big, powerful running back. And you can go back as far back as 1978 when Charles Alexander was our running back at LSU. Every year, somebody had a big, powerful running back that either was in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft or somewhere right behind that. And I mean, everybody had one. Florida had one. Georgia had one. Tennessee had one. Everybody had one. And, it was just the way it was back in the day. So if you were a player and you were coming out of school and you were a defensive player, get ready to strap it up because, these teams in the SEC, they're going to run the football. They're going to enjoy doing it. They're going to enjoy beating on you for, 42 minutes a game. And they may throw the ball back in the day, but they're not going to throw it as much as they're going to run it. And they're not going to give up control of the clock as much as you think they will in the course of a ball game. So football was a lot of fun growing up in the South, man. Even at the high school level, it was fun.
Well, Leonard, I want to ask you about kind of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions on 2 different events. One of them being when you were inducted into the LSU Hall of Fame in 2008, and the other one being this latest national championship, watching Joe Burrow and Coach O go out there and bring the national championship back to LSU.
Well, I'll tell you, being inducted in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and the LSU Hall of Fame was probably one of the greatest compliments that could ever be bestowed upon someone like myself. I mean, I'm a kid from Franklin, Louisiana. I'm the second guy in the city of Franklin to even be thought of as a Hall of Fame athlete in the state of Louisiana. The other guy was a football coach at Hanson High School by the name of Richard Dick McCloskey, who was a mentor to me as a kid and a guy I respected the hell out of, and a guy that looked out for me as a kid and always pointed me in the right direction. So to follow in his footsteps and to leave a legacy behind, not only for the African-American community, but the entire community of Franklin and the entire state of Louisiana, is an honor in itself. To then turn around and go on and leave that legacy, come to New York, win 2 championships, go back to Louisiana, become celebrated on a whole different level, and let the kids see what it's like to be successful and doing what I do and love, and what I loved as a kid, and to play a kid's game for King's Ransom for 12 years and love doing it. You know, it speaks volume. And I guess I could look at it as it's the reason why the athletes in Louisiana now are bigger, faster, stronger, and more competitive. And that was indicative of this season when you watch the LSU Tiger football team. I mean, you watch the offensive line at LSU, they average 6'5", they average 310 pounds. You know, you watch the defensive line, they average 6'3", they average 305, 315 pounds. And, you know, these kids can play football now. These kids can play football. And the greatest thing that happened, I think, to LSU for the last 2 years is when Joe Burrow arrived, and I watched the kid play in the offseason. I was down there for a spring football game, and I watched him play. And I'll never forget it. I tapped my friend Sam Nader, and I said to Sam, looks like we got ourselves a quarterback now, buddy. Because it almost felt like the unveiling of watching. You remember the movie Remember the Titans when the kid Sunshine took the field?
Yeah.
That's kind of the way. It's kind of the way I thought of Joe Burrow when I saw him take the field, and he lit it up this year, man. You know, my wife has become a big LSU Tiger fan, and I usually take her down to 1 or 2 games a year, in particular Alabama LSU or Auburn LSU, and she watched gracefully this year and watched him light it up, and she was so proud to see him receive the Heisman and all the accolades he received, and for him and his family and everything else, and to watch Coach O and watch him, you know, evolve into the person he became and what the team became, and the way he put the team in the state of Louisiana on his shoulders, man, was, I got to tell you, I'm just so proud of the program and the people down there for what they've done and what they've overcome.
Oh, that's very well said. And of course, I want to take it back to 1983 when you're drafted by the New York Giants, 37th overall. Of course, 1983 is one of the more famous drafts in NFL history. You had the John Elway situation going on, Dan Marino, and Jim Kelly, the quarterback carousel that kind of went on in that draft. You go 37th overall in the second round of the Giants, but this draft was one of the first ones that was actually televised nationally. There was a lot of press about this draft, and you were involved in that. What are your memories of that draft and being taken by the Giants, and kind of what your feelings were on being taken by New York at that time?
Well, my memories were I was mad as hell when Ken O'Brien and Tony Eason announced that they're going to come out in the draft. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because at the time I was talking to 4 or 5 teams that was talking to me about being a first-round selection. And here I am, the 4th defensive lineman taking the draft, you know, behind Jim Jeffcoat, Gabe Rivera, and Mike Pitts from Alabama. And I'm taken in the 2nd round, which cost me $1 million. I'm like, I'm mad as hell that day, you know. But the beauty of it was I got a chance to play for a great football coach in Bill Parcells. I got a chance to play for one of Pete Jenkins' best friends, a guy by the name of Lamar Leachman, God rest his soul. And I got a chance to win a couple of Super Bowl rings, which is beautiful, and play against guys like Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson. So, you know, those guys are great mentees and great guys to work with. I learned an awful lot from them early on, and it kind of helped to carry me and help me achieve a decade of football here in New York. So I'm real happy with the decision that I made and the destiny that I took.
Well, you mentioned a few of them right there. I wanted to ask you about playing with Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson, even Carl Banks, and being coached by Bill Parcells. And a little bit later on, he's there when you get there, but a little bit later on becomes your defensive coordinator, the great Bill Belichick.
Yes. Well, you know, that guy, I'm telling you right now, that guy is probably the greatest football mind I've ever been around in my lifetime. I mean, I can't speak. The words cannot convey how much respect, love, adoration, and just, you know, sincere gratitude that I share for Bill Belichick. I mean, we don't talk as much. We speak to each other as often as we can. We speak through a mutual friend who's a writer with the New England Patriots. And every guy he's drafted and every guy that's played for him that's come out of LSU, he always refers to our years of working together when I was young, and the way I took to liking him and his coaching style, and the work that I put in, and the work that he expected of them. And he'd tell them, you guys got a hell of a measure stick in front of you, because Leonard was a hell of a football player for me, and a great one. And I'll never forget meeting Jarvis Green in Baton Rouge at a game, and Jarvis having played for him as a Super Bowl winner. Jarvis said to him, the first things came out of his mouth was, can you play like Big Cheese? Can you play like, number 97 at LSU? And number 70 as a New York Giant? And if you can't, then I need to go back down there and find me another guy. And the dialogue began between Jarvis and Bill, and Jarvis obviously ended up having a great career in New England and turned out to be a pretty good athlete at the end of the day. So probably one of the final moments I remember about Bill Belichick was the year we played the Bills. The Bills had scored 92 points in 2 weeks of football, 91 or 92 points in 2 weeks of football. And we're going to play them in the Super Bowl. We couldn't figure out how to stop that car. And Belichick said, I'm going to tell you something. I got a plan to stop that car. And I'm not only going to stop that car, I'm going to take the ball from them. And when I take the ball from them, I'm going to take the gas or the wind out their sails. And sure enough, we did it with 2 defensive linemen, myself and Eric Howard, 5 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. And every time the receivers put their hands up to catch a football, they got hit from every angle you could think of. And the final score of that game was 20-19, with us winning the Super Bowl. So I tell everybody, you want a guy, you want to play for a great guy who not only knows how to win, but prepares you to win, and he starts the preparation from Monday. Bill Belichick's your man.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, Leonard, during your time in New York, you were a 2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champion. You, of course, also beat the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 21. So you guys, Phil Simms has the almost perfect game there for you guys in that one. And then Scott Norwood misses the kick in a great defensive effort against the Bills. But you also are 3rd all-time in New York Giants history in sacks. And your name is not on the Ring of Honor in New York. I feel like it absolutely should be. Why do you think that your name is not on that Ring of Honor? Have you been contacted about it? I mean, I think now's the time to make this happen.
Yeah. I've been I haven't been contacted by the team, but everybody and their brother is saying the same thing that you're saying. I mean, the work speaks for itself. I mean, people don't remember, but I put in a lot of work with Lawrence Taylor, and put in a lot of work with Carl Banks and Pepper Johnson, and I can sit here and name names of players. But the most important thing is I put in a lot of work myself. I mean, over 700 tackles in my career, over 79, over 80 sacks in my career. There's only 2 other linemen that I know of that have the type of career stats as I do, and that's Howie Long and Leroy Selman, who are both in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You talk to my friends, Richard Dent, Bruce Smith, and several others, they all say the same thing, Leonard. It's either politics or something else that's keeping you out of it, because you've done everything possible and deserve more than anybody I know in a Giant uniform to be not only in their Ring of Honor, but as a prestigious player in that organization. I literally was named to 3 Pro Bowls. My 3rd Pro Bowl I was named as an alternate 1991, and went to Hawaii but didn't play in the game because of Charles Mann. Charles Mann played in the Super Bowl against the Bills and couldn't play in the game in Hawaii. So I was named as an alternate but did not play in the game. Does that have something to do with it? I don't know. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Does it have anything to do with the concussion lawsuit that was filed in 2011? I don't know. Does it have anything to do with the fact that I've been a voice for players that have experienced traumatic brain injury and those that have cognitive impairment today and really haven't gotten what they deserve or haven't gotten the support from the league that they deserve? I don't know. But what I do know is that what I did as an athlete is what made me human. And what I need now and deserve now is what makes me a hero. And if there is such a thing as a hero in football, heroism needs to take place, and it needs to be recognized. My career needs to be recognized.
Well, it is by your peers at the very least, but you definitely were polling for you to be on that Ring of Honor very soon, and
Thank you.
to right that wrong and for that to be corrected. But Leonard, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you what's been ranked as the third biggest hit in NFL history. And that's, of course, your hit on Joe Montana to knock him out of the 1990 NFC Championship game.
Yes.
Later in that game, Pat Summerall went on and said, word from Joe Montana on the 49ers bench is everything hurts. And of course it did, because he suffered a bruised sternum, bruised stomach, cracked ribs, and a broken hand. I mean, I don't even know how that's the third. That's got to be the number one most devastating hit in NFL history. Just take us through that.
Well, I can tell you, the play starts, and I literally slipped because I didn't have on the right shoes for the game, and I go into pass rush mode, and I slip. Next thing I know, Tom Rathman dives at my feet, and then I turn around, and I'm crawling, and I look up, and I see him pat the football and extend his left arm, telling Jerry Rice to continue running. And as I got up, something said, Leonard, if you don't leave your feet, he's going to release this ball. It's going to be a touchdown. And I leave my feet, and next thing you know, it's lights out Irene. I mean, I separate him from the ball. I was hoping Lawrence would have caught the ball in the air and ran it in for touchdown. It was one of those big historical, immaculate conception type plays like with Franco Harris. But, I was happy to be able to make that football play, and more importantly, have us win the football game as a result of making a play like that.
Yeah, it kind of ended the San Francisco dynasty there, and Joe wouldn't play for another couple years. Steve Young comes in. It was kind of a chain reaction of events there. But Leonard, I got to ask you about this, because right after you and Lawrence Taylor both retire, Lawrence, and I'm a big wrestling fan, Lawrence Taylor takes on Bam Bam Bigelow at WrestleMania 11. My question is, why weren't you there at his side? Because you had guys like Mongo McMichael was there. I think Reggie White was there. Where was Leonard Marshall? And you would have made a good tag team partner as well.
Well, I was watching on TV, to be honest with you, because at that time I didn't think much of the sport, and I should have thought much more of it, because it was a marketing opportunity. So I really should have attended it. If Lawrence had invited me or had let me know about it, I would have definitely been there in support of him, especially because of what you said. Those guys had McMichael and Dan Hampton and maybe Richard Denton, some other guys there. I should have really been there. There wasn't a better tag team partner that Lawrence could have asked for than me for being there. So it's crazy, but he did some crazy things, man, after football, and that's who he was. That's who Lawrence was, and it was the beauty behind it was, dressing next to the guy for 10 seasons and playing opposite the guy for 10 seasons. I really got a chance to get to know the psyche and the man himself, which was Lawrence Taylor, and not what the fans called LT. I got a chance to know that real guy, and I'm happy, and I'm actually proud of what I've seen him put in terms of work, and the work he did as a father and a family man, and some of the stuff he did within the community. So I'm real proud of Lawrence, man, and I hope that if anything, that when he looks back on all of this stuff, that he has the fondest of memories as I have.
Well, you're a teammate with him. You get there in '83. You play with the Giants till '92, and then the last 2 years of your career, you go to the New York Jets in '93. Play with guys like James Hasty and Ronnie Lott, and your last year is in Washington. Just take us through those last two stops in your career.
Oh man, my Jet year was amazing, because I got a chance to play with a great Ronnie Lott, and who was just a defensive maniac, and strong character guy, great leader in the locker room, great leader on the field. Not only a good game player, but a great practice player, and a guy who I bonded with and showed nothing but the utmost respect for from the day that we both arrived there. And folks don't remember, but those who fail to remember, up until I cracked my forearm in 1993, we were a football team destined to be a playoff team. We were 8-3 going into a December game with the Indianapolis Colts. And as we were turning as a football team, our defensive game was improving. We had beaten New England on the road. We had beaten Indianapolis in their place on the road. We had beaten Jacksonville on the road. And we were really a team that was starting to come on. And, we kind of got, kind of the wind let out of our sails when I cracked my forearm, and we lose the next 6 ball games, which, the team they never responded to that. The next 5 games, I'm sorry, they just could never respond to that. And the big one was the loss against Buffalo on Christmas Day that took the wind out of our sails. But, if there's anything I remember and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, I didn't get a chance to win for Leon Hess. I really wanted to win for that guy because I thought that he put enough into the football organization that he deserved to win. And I respected Mr. Hess wholeheartedly.
Well, absolutely. I tell you what, Leonard, it's been a tremendous career. We could go on with you for a lot longer than this. It's so interesting to hear your perspective, and we just grew up watching you play. You are just truly tremendous and even a better human being, my friend. It was just so good to meet you virtually here on Zoom. This is so cool. Thanks so much for hopping on with us, man. We hope we can keep in contact, and we just appreciate it so much.
No, and Clint, I appreciate you guys. I thank you to all you LSU fans. I love you. Keep rooting for the purple and gold. And hey, live purple and love gold, baby.
Love it.
Absolutely. It was an absolute honor, Leonard. And we're going to get you on that Ring of Honor. We're going to make a push for this. And you're going to be on that Giants Ring of Honor before you know it, my friend.
I can't wait.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, fellas.
Take care.